Okay, my heart's skipping a beat here, but so my question is kind of a selfish one. I've always been a very, very competitive person, and in my fighting career, I've been doing martial arts for 2/3 of my life. I've always found that setting a goal and then putting effort into it was the way to achieve it.
Well, having an intention and moving toward it is the greatest satisfaction in life. And maybe that's what you're talking about. And when you're satisfied, all providence moves too. That is the process. So it's nice that what felt best to you is exactly what we've been teaching and what works. And what were your first words? I've always been a selfish person, which means I've been listening to my guidance about my alignment with Source. Don't you love knowing that that's been what you've been doing?
Yeah, I just got a little goosebumps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you all follow that? That was important.
But one thing that through listening through all of these conversations that we've had is that it shouldn't feel like effort, or it shouldn't be effort. But to me, well, I mean, I guess in martial arts and fighting and anyone who's ever played sports or weightlifted knows that when you do that action, the next day hurts. It physically hurts. And so getting out of bed the next morning and thinking, I have to do this again, is often difficult.
Well, we have a question for you. So when does it stop hurting?
When I do it again.
Yeah, when you focus and the energy starts flowing. Isn't that interesting? When you're focused and the energy is flowing and there's no resistance. So what thoughts are you having that are different than those thoughts? In other words, as you make the distinction between the thoughts that call the energy and allow the energy to flow and the thoughts that cause you to get stiff and sore in your body, so how can you keep the energy flowing? So do you think, this is a good conversation to have, so do you think that the desire to prevail in the competition, the desire for success, calls more energy than going to bed?
It does for me.
So in which case are you more focused?
In the going out and doing.
And in which case is there more momentum and more longevity of energy flowing?
When I'm in the action of doing.
So do you think it's possible that you could keep energy flowing on a different subject? In other words, you're not wanting to win a tournament while you're sleeping, but is there something that you might think to keep the energy flowing other than I'm going to wake up sore tomorrow? Because that's actually what you're doing. You're thinking the positive thoughts about the tournament and the negative thoughts about the way your body's going to feel tomorrow. And you might as well just think positive thoughts about both. You don't have to let what is rule the thought that you think. That's what we've been talking about all day here. You get to choose, and the universe will follow your thought. You don't have to follow the reality. This is the biggest discussion that we have with the most people. This is our strongest desire to soothe you all into a sort of different way of understanding your life experience, because the physical reality feels so real that it feels like it deserves your attention. And we want to say to you, by the time you wake up and you're sore in the morning, that ship has already sailed, so to speak. That's already been set into motion, and that is the outcome. But you could set other things into motion until eventually there would be something else that would be your experience. It's such an interesting thing, isn't it? On the one hand, you're really following your bliss, you're following your impulses on some subjects, and on others, you're letting what is dictate the way you feel. And the conversations that we keep having are to help you to realize that on every subject, you get to flow the energy. And how do you know that you're not in alignment with your source unless you allow yourself to have the experience where you feel it? And so the way your physical body feels is just an extension of emotion. Positive emotion feels better than negative emotion, and a good feeling body feels better than a not good feeling body. But the stiffness in your body is just a byproduct of the thoughts you've been thinking about that.
Well, I didn't say I didn't like the feeling of being sore or beat up. You feel like you've done something. You feel a sense of accomplishment. Like if I go and do some squats and my legs are sore the next day, I know that what I've done is good for my body, and I feel good to myself that I've done that.
So are you saying that, in a sense, there's a sense of justification in it, an earning in it, that there is no real gain without some pain?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you decide how much pain you're willing to give up for how much gain, but there is limitation in that, isn't there?
Yeah, and I've sort of hit the wall there, so I've had to stop my competitive martial arts entirely because I've had far too many injuries and broken bones and things like
Well,
that.
the injuries do come from resistance. It's getting the cart before the horse just a little bit, because the human thought tendency is that I do these things and then I feel this way. And we want to say it's the other way around. You feel this way, which causes you to do those things, and then you get those results. And so that's why we realize that there is a reality that you're all living. And we ask a lot of you to set reality aside and not respond to your sore muscles, or not respond to the disease diagnosis, or not respond to the fact that your lover left you. We know it's asking a lot to ask you not to respond to what you're living in your now reality, or not respond to the discomfort in being a flight attendant. But you have to find a way of no longer responding to that before anything can improve. And that's that getting the energy before. And it would be easy if this were your first day here and you didn't already have thought patterns and momentum of thought that is tugging against this momentum of thought. But it's such an interesting thing, because this contrast is what produces this thought. And this contrast produces this vortex. And this contrast produced this new state of being. And yet this contrast can keep you from having this. So there's something about the knowledge of knowing when to do step 1 and when to do step 3. It's a good thing to make a decision. It's a good thing to feel competitive. It's a good thing to watch others in their evolution of their physical skills and balance. It's a good thing to watch them. It helps you to desire beyond what has been before. It's a good thing to ask things of your body that you have not asked of before, or maybe ask things of your body that maybe no one has achieved on a consistent basis before. That's all part of that step 1. And it puts wonderful things and causes wonderful potential for manifestation and a vibrational reality. And so then we ask you, if you'll focus upon the vibrational reality until you get these impulses, then what begins to happen is, right in the midst of your tournament, because you're so tuned in, this happens to you often, but it could happen to you more, your inner being will guide you to the timing. In other words, those impulses to move will be based not only upon what your intentions are, but where your competitive partner is in the process. You'll do this dance with your inner being a stronger partner in the process. And when you're dancing more with your inner being as a partner in the process, then there's less resistance within you. So there's less effort that is involved, and there's less tension in your body, and then there's less negative repercussions that follow that. And people will begin saying about you, you seem to accomplish that with such ease. And your response, you might not want to say it out loud because they may or may not be ready to hear it, but your response is, I'm utilizing the energy that creates worlds to my leveraged advantage, which doesn't just mean strength, it means timing. And by timing, we don't just mean timing apart from anybody else that you're involved with. It has everything to do with everybody else that you're involved with. Your inner being knows things about your partner that you may be sensing to some degree, but the more you're in tune with your inner being, the more you'll be sensing what's really going on. And don't you find that timing is everything? If there are two people that come together and they're pretty equal in their size and pretty equal in their strength and pretty equal in their strength training, and you've both trained yourself to the capacity of whatever a physical human body can do, then what makes the difference? It's timing. It's timing and alignment and a surge of energy at the right time and a placement of that energy in the right place and an understanding. Isn't all of that what you've come to know? And how do you know it? Because your inner being knows it. And when you don't know it, then there's some resistance. When you're involved in the process of that, do you ever find yourself second guessing yourself, or do you feel pretty sure about what you're doing?
I think it depends on the opponent, but yeah, there are definitely times when I've been in the middle of a fight and my body will just do something and I don't even know how it
We
comes
so
together.
loved your response because we want you to hear this and always remember it. The only opponent you have is you. Your thought about the other one causes you to oppose yourself. Nothing else matters because it's all about energy. And if there's someone who knows this, and often they are, and there's someone tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and they're following impulses, and the two of you get together, it is the match of the century. It is a dance that makes jaws drop. It is a beautiful thing to behold. It's a willingness of two connected beings to bring who they are and what they know out here to this leading edge where manifestation happens. And in a tournament like that, neither one of you really care who comes out of it victorious, because you've both had the experience of the whole of you dancing the dance with the other. And your feeling of appreciation of what they evoked from you and their appreciation of what you evoked from them made for the most wonderful experience, you see. Yeah. Enough?
Yep.
Something more?
No, it's okay. Thanks.
Really good conversation.
Thank you.
Really good.